another semi-final? Are they starting to learn how to grind out these games?
Yeah, potentially. As you said, they lost 3 last year into another one. And maybe it's a bit of a mentality problem. But as I said, they've got another opportunity now. It was a good performance today. They look comfortable. I think the only disappointment really from Everton's point of view is that they've got one of the most informed strikers about, and they didn't really make Maguire defend. Do you know what I mean? So he didn't really have a lot to do. But from their perspective, Manchester United, another semi-final, they're in good form. To make 9 changes and put in that type of performance, listen, the confidence is flowing. Dominic
Calvert-Lewin, 2 touches in the opposition box. He was really isolated, isn't he?
He was, and you could put that down to good defender by Manchester United or Everton not finding the answers to create chances. I think it was probably a little bit of both, and Everton only really pushed in the last 5 minutes of the game when they were chasing the game, and you saw them get into advanced positions and be able to put delivery into the penalty area. But unfortunately, by that point, it was too late.
Edinson Cavani got the breakthrough goal 1-0. There was an incident about 30 minutes before that might cause a little bit of discussion. Should he have stayed on the pitch for this? If there was VAR, Darren Bent, might it have picked this up, and what might the decision have been?
I mean, listen, you always run the risk. The moment you lift your hands, I mean, something seems to have happened between them as they're jogging over to that position. But, I mean, the moment you lift your hands and it looks like he's kind of grabbed him around the throat, or is he holding on to... You can't quite tell. But the moment you do that, you run that risk of VAR looking at it, and I guess it comes down to the referee on the day whether it's a sending off or not.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's Colombia versus Uruguay, the real South American battle going on there, isn't there? And, you know, it had been going on before that incident. As Darren said, you're giving the officials a decision to make if you raise your hands. No VAR on the night. The referee and the assistants didn't see it, and probably a fortunate guy to stay on the field.
He did go and score the goal, which for Everton fans, it will be, I don't know, the icing on a difficult night for them. The finish was quite good though, Darren.
Yeah, what a finish. I mean, great play. Martial getting into a great position. And the pass, but it's the first touch. The moment that touch goes inside Godfrey there, he can't recover. But the finish, I mean, we know that he's got a dangerous right foot and he can score headed goals and his movement's brilliant. But to score this type of goal on his weak foot, I mean, it's the touch that makes the goal, but what a finish.
It was the first time they managed to get a player in that position where Martial's picking up the ball. They really stretched Everton. Everton have ended up with a back 6. And Martial's gone into space. Keane's got to go with him if that's the case. They're so comfortable at the back. They don't. Cavani drifts into that space. Everton are all over the place with the centre-half, then out of position late. Take nothing away from the finish. What a finish that is. You know, it's the type of finish worthy of winning a game like that.
He had a few chances in the first half as well. What did you make of his overall performance in that game?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a striker that tends to get involved too much with the build-up play. He's one of them in and around the box, but his movement is so sharp, and that's why he'll always get opportunities, because he's always on the front foot. He's always anticipating what's going to go on. If a cross comes in, you better believe he's the first one who's going to get his head on it. And I think that goal that he scored in the end capped off a very, very good performance from him. I mean, as I said, he didn't have a lot to do, but when he was called upon, that kind of finish there, I mean, that's what you call a world-class finish, and that's what he's been throughout his career, a world-class centre-forward.
Later on, Anthony Martial made it 2-0 with this goal. At this point in time, what was happening to Everton?
Yeah, well, Everton are chasing the game, and you see how many men they've committed forward. They really did need to score in that moment. Cenk Tosun gives it away, and just like in the league game, Manchester United 3v2. They'd done it moments before and hadn't quite found the right answer with Fernandes hitting the crossbar, but they get it right this time. You see the patience of Rashford on the ball. He's looking for his teammates. He knows exactly when to play the pass into his stride. He doesn't have to break his stride, opens his body up, and goalkeeper's got no chance.
I mean, that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got at his disposal. You look at the players that he brought on. Martial made a difference. Rashford made a difference. So, I mean, it's a good night for Manchester United. Confidence boost for the rest of the season.
That double change was important, wasn't it? Because Anthony Martial was only on the pitch for 23 minutes, got a goal and an assist.
It did, yeah, and it's a kind of surprise because I thought Cavani, to be fair, was the one coming off. We spoke about it, about who I thought Greenwood would have stayed on, but listen, it turned out to be the right decision. And Martial, great finish at the end.
We talked about that midfield trio, Pogba, Fernandes, Donny van de Beek, all starting a game for the first time. What was our overall analysis of that?
I thought it worked well for them. I thought, you know, as Harry Maguire said in his interview, I think Manchester United dominated the opening half an hour. Could have been a couple of goals up at that point. Everton grew into the game, certainly at the end of the first half, started to get into the Manchester United penalty area, create chances themselves, and we saw a bit of a rearguard action from that midfield trio in that point. And then in the second half again, I think, unfortunately for Everton, that trio probably took control of the game again, and they were the team on the front foot, creating chances. Everton didn't have a shot on target in the second half. It was chance after chance for Manchester United.
There was a worrying moment in the game with Richarlison where he got sandwiched between two players and he looked like he took a clattering, didn't he? It was credit really to the Everton medical staff to take him off at this moment, because Pogba and Fernandes come either side of him. Talk us through this.
You don't realise at this point the hit he's took, and that nudge from Bruno Fernandes, although he's not trying to endanger Richarlison, you see he's already out cold. His legs are flailing around. It's a big hit from Bailly. Richarlison obviously doesn't realise what's happened. He's still trying to stay on the field, and thankfully the Everton medical staff take him off the field. But you know, they seem innocuous, those challenges that Bruno Fernandes has done there. But Everton have been on the receiving end of two now. There was a similar one that Heung-min Son did on Gomez at the end of last season. He didn't mean any injury by it. He propelled the player into another on-rushing player in Aurier. There was a serious injury on that occasion. There's a serious injury there.
Do you have to take those decisions out of the players' hands as much as possible? Is that the important thing here? Because Richarlison obviously will want to stay on the pitch, but isn't really in the position to make that decision himself.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad, as Leon was saying there, that they took it out of his hands, because you looked at Richarlison when he got up, he was still like, no, I want to continue. And I think that was good, because you can't, especially in them situations where you take a blow to the head, he's probably concussed, he looked like he'd been knocked out. You can't allow him to go back on the pitch, because again, it could be more serious damage. So I'm glad they took it out of his hands.
It has to be a medical decision at that point, because Richarlison's arguably Everton's best player. The manager doesn't want him to come off. The player doesn't want him to come off. So who can make that decision? I think, having seen Richarlison, the state he was in, the medical decision was right to take him off.
Will Everton walk away from this? How will they feel about their overall performance, Leon?
I think they'll be disappointed that they didn't ask more questions of Manchester United. I think that when you've got a quarter-final game of a cup at home, fans in the stadium, you're probably hoping that you really make their goalkeeper work hard. And Henderson had a decent enough save in the first half from the Gylfi Sigurdsson free kick. But other than that, I don't think he was stretched at all. So I think that'll be something to work on moving forward. Yes, they haven't got their full-strength side out at the minute, but still expect to create chances for a striker who's in such hot form.
And for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the positives really to make 9 changes, and even though he had the subs and they made a difference as well, to make 9 changes, to come away from it with a clean sheet and a 2-0 win, quite positive.
It is really positive, and I think, as you said there, the 9 changes, the way they started the game, could have been out of sight. Cavani had a couple of opportunities, Pogba had a chance, Greenwood's header. So I think for him to make them changes and then still start as strong as they were and be comfortable for most of the game, you have to say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, well played.
OK, so Everton out of the Carabao Cup at the quarter